Hello, everyone. I chose the question based from our perception section in our textbooks. The question being, what are the primary physiological influences on your perception of others? The senses, age, health, and fatigue, hunger, biological cycles. Explain how these influences have affected communication in your interpersonal lives. Well, this question stuck out to me because my whole life I've seen how people react differently due to their own senses towards others. I myself have noticed that I too can act differently towards others if I feel like I don't have anything in common with them. If I feel like I don't relate to them at all, I am quick to leave the scene. So, I'm going to be interviewing my father, Mr. Bruce, and he's a business owner and has been in the professional world for a while, so he would know how to answer these questions the best, which is why I chose him. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Bruce.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for agreeing to do this. And let's get started.
All right.
So, the first question is, when you meet someone for the first time, what would you say is something that you notice that inevitably causes you to change the way you communicate with them?
Well, first off, it would have to be their appearance. Um, Everybody dresses differently, and from their dress, you can determine a lot of times what their social standing might be in life, how they feel about certain things, whether or not they're clean, they're dirty, whatever. So you interact with people based on your perception of what you believe them to be, or maybe their role in life, their stature in life, their station in life, so to speak. Uh, you're going to treat people differently, I think, and it's human nature to do this based on your opinion of, of their station in life. For instance, if a fellow that you meet for the very first time appears to be a drug addict, which is very noticeable at times, then you are naturally going to be a little more standoffish to that individual rather than, say, someone who appears to have just come from church. It's just a natural human reaction to do that. So, this is the thing that is human nature to treat people differently and to interact with them differently according to what you believe and uh, feel that they look like, and therefore how they want to interact with you.
So, in saying that, what is it like for you to talk to someone from a different social standing than yourself? Does it would you consider it to be easy or difficult?
It really depends. When I was younger, it was more difficult to speak to someone who you felt like uh, was higher in society than you were, maybe like snobbish. So you kind of shy away from that individual and stick with someone who is more in your social stature. But as you get older, you realize you don't really care that much anymore. That everyone has something different to offer. But you're naturally going to, for instance, you're going to speak to a priest when you first meet him differently than you're going to speak to a laborer, that may be cleaning your yard. You're just going to do it. You're going to be more free with your tongue with the laborer than you will with the priest. You're going to be very careful about your language, that sort of thing. It's just in different people you treat and say things differently like that, just to be on guard, so you do not want to offend anyone that you have just met. So you just are very careful about it until you get to know them a little bit better.
Does it affect you in a certain way when you communicate with someone of a much younger age than yourself?
Uh, I don't know if it affects me. You know, depending on the age and what your definition of younger is, uh, they really, real young people don't have any true life experiences. For instance, someone maybe in the eighth or ninth grade may think they have everything together, and they really don't. I know when I was young and I was even 18, I thought I knew everything, and no one could tell me differently. So You just have to understand where they're coming from because as part of life's experience, when you were growing up, you were the same way. So you just have to treat them in that regard and understand where they're coming from.
Have you ever experienced suffrage in a conversation because you come from a different background than someone else? Or do you believe that difference doesn't hold any water towards y'all's communication?
Well, I don't know if suffrage is a good word, but sometimes I know when I was younger and would go to some parties and different levels of society, the snobs, so to speak, would treat you differently
Mm-hmm.
because they looked down on you. You could feel that. A lot of people say, well, maybe that's just the way you were feeling. Maybe it is. I don't know. But perception is reality at the time. So, uh, not necessarily suffrage, but they were a little indignant towards you, I guess is a good way to put it. And so you felt uncomfortable in that situation. So you tended to scurry away from those individuals and seek more like-minded people in society, more your range of income, that sort of thing, because you had more in common.
It's more easy to talk to someone on the same level as you, is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah, I believe that to be true.
Okay.
I think that's true for just about everyone. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the phrase birds of a feather flock together and elaborate on your beliefs in this phrase concerning the effectiveness or lack of effectiveness in communication?
Um, well, birds of a feather flock together is, I think that's a true statement. People do tend to congregate around like-minded individuals, whether it be politically, religiously, or however you want to think about it. Uh, if you are of the same income level, naturally you're going to associate with each other, maybe at the same job, that sort of thing. Whereas if you run a business and your boss says, "Hey, let's go party" or whatever, and he brings all his friends who are in that upper income category, that sort of thing, versus someone who's making maybe only $25,000 a year, yeah, that guy making $25,000 a year is going to strive to become his boss and that sort of thing. But at the time, he's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's very noticeable the way people socialize differently depending on their income levels. Uh, and I don't know that people mean to do that. I just think they do that. So I that's what I get from birds of a feather flocking together. Same thing with religions. You tend to Protestants don't really tend to socialize with Catholics and vice versa. Not because they don't like each other. It's just that their commonality is not quite the same, and people like to feel more comfortable with that commonality, where you agree with each other. You know what the other one's thinking already, so you're just more comfortable in that situation.
So, in answering all of the questions, it all comes back to it seems that there's a trend in most people's communication with other people that you're more comfortable talking to someone of the same
Income level,
yes,
yeah,
everything.
status in life, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
I think so. I think, aren't you?
I am.
I think
I
people are
am.
that way.
I am.
I really do. I think people are very uncomfortable.
When you put them in an
Yeah,
uncomfortable
for instance,
situation.
if you're in the middle class, you may have a little trouble speaking to someone in the upper class, but you probably would not have trouble speaking to someone in the lower class or even lower middle class.
That's
It's
true.
just your standing in life tends to make you feel a certain way in how to communicate to other people and how comfortable you're going to feel in that conversation. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Bruce, for your time.
Yeah, I hope it was okay.
Yeah. And thank y'all for watching.